What's up guys, it's your boy Stump, and in this video, I'm going to tell you the truth about game sense. You know, that one thing that pro players have that beginner players want, the very thing that you need to get better at any game that you play, the final piece of the puzzle that leads you down the path from being a noob to being in the ESL. Yeah, that game sense. So, I decided to do some research on this topic, and I found a lot of great videos that wait, did I say great? I meant terrible. Okay. Credit where credit is due. These players do know what they're talking about. They are experts in their field. And that's the problem. They only know how to talk about game sense in their game, and it limits your ability to get better in other games outside of that game's genre. It makes you feel like you're only good at these types of games, and you can't play anything else. So what is game sense really about? From player to player and game to game, the answer you may get will be different to some degree. But one content creator by the name of Intel Edits, who plays Bed Wars of all games, describes game sense as the ability to know what to do in any situation and knowing what your opponent is going to do in certain situations. So I began asking myself, what do I need to learn to know what to do? And in that moment, it became clear. Game sense isn't game sense. It's game knowledge. And with this knowledge, I have found 5 different skills that you can learn in any game and be an average or above average player in 30 days. I guarantee it. I will even put money on it. So I will spare you the channel plug today at the beginning of this video, and let's just hop right into these skills. I will be using Critical Ops as an example to demonstrate these different skills. The first skill you're going to need to learn right away are your mechanical skills. So the first thing to do naturally is to figure out what the game's mechanics are from the game that you are playing. Now, games from the same genre are going to have similar mechanics, but the way the developers implement them is going to be different from game to game. Now, you could raw dog this and figure out the game's mechanics the hard way by just playing the game, or you could do the one thing that most games will tell you to do, and that is playing the game's built-in tutorial. And it just so happens that Critical Ops also has a tutorial level that shows you how to move, how to shoot, how to reload, how to switch weapons, how to buy gear from the shop, and how to throw grenades, and how to plant and defuse the bomb. Now these are some of the baseline mechanics that the game shows you. It doesn't go into detail about every single mechanic like crouch shooting or recoil control. And some games will give you tips about these mechanics in the loading screen if you are attentive enough. Now, there are some mechanics in your game that seemingly break the way the game is supposed to be played. These are called gimmicks. Sure, you can call them bugs or glitches, but these can be easily patched out, while gimmicks still fall in line with the intended game design. One gimmick I know of in Critical Ops is the U-ratio quick swap, where you shoot first, then quickly switch between weapons to make your reload time faster, since equipping the ratio takes less time than it does to reload. You can easily find videos on these gimmicks in tips and tricks or tutorial videos found littered on YouTube for your game of choice. Knowing about the game's mechanics and gimmicks that you are playing can give you that much more of an edge over players that don't know about them. The next thing you're going to need to learn is how to utilize the items the game gives you to their fullest potential. This is called item utilization. Now, some games don't give you items, but rather abilities that you need to know how they work so you can use them to their maximum potential. Or they could give you both. It doesn't matter. Instead of going through each individual item and learning what it does, you can group different items together with similar stats and learn what each group's advantages and disadvantages are. This is called item grouping, and most games already do this. Similarly to Critical Ops. In the buy menu, you can see 6 different categories of items that you can use to play the game, with each category having their own advantages and disadvantages. For example, the SMGs and shotguns are good at dealing high damage at close range, but are less accurate on longer ranges and even dealing less damage. Now, each item in the same category will have slightly different stats, or even different mechanics altogether. But knowing that these items are in the same category can give you an idea on what each item is capable of. Understanding the different groups of items and how each one works will give you an edge when playing against players that don't quite understand this yet. The next thing you need to work on is your map knowledge. This is knowing how to get from point A to point B, and knowing the different routes that can get you from point A to point B. Now at this point, you would have played the game long enough that you are starting to get familiar with the different maps in the game that you're playing. But there are some spots on certain maps that you have to struggle to get to because you don't go there as often as you would like to. This is where you begin to practice on the different maps that you were struggling with so you can get to that one spot that one YouTuber told you about in one of their tips and tricks videos from like 4 years ago. And it's as easy as booting up a bot match on easy mode and just go exploring for a while. You don't have to play to the objective or fight the bots. What are they going to do? Report you? Just mind your own business and figure out the different nooks and crannies throughout that map. This way, you can learn how to get to a certain spot from a different part of the map, whether it's close or further away. Now, some games will offer a mini-map of the map you are playing on, so that way you can have some idea on where you are. The minimap can also help you spot enemies that you can't see by being spotted by your teammates or by some other means, usually represented by a red blip. By utilizing your minimap to help you get around and spot enemies, you can easily find an enemy and know exactly where to go based on the information you are given. So by combining your map knowledge and your minimap, you can give yourself more information than any player that doesn't utilize these two things together. Now I know some games don't offer this minimap, so you'll have to rely on map knowledge alone. Now, kind of going along with map knowledge, you have to know the different timings of the things that happen throughout your game. So not only do you need to know how to get from point A to point B, you need to know how long it takes as well. Now this is where some meta shit comes into play, where there are different movement speeds which the enemy player knows about, so they try to manipulate the speed at which they arrive to a specific location to throw you off and catch you not paying attention or with your pants down. And that is not the only thing you need to keep track of. You need to keep track of how long it takes for you to reload your weapon, or how long the cooldown is for the ability that you just used. And the best advice I can give you about the different timings is be mindful. If you are vulnerable, then take cover. If the enemy player hasn't peeked yet, then keep your head on a swivel. By understanding the different timings in your game, you can get an idea of when things are going to happen, so you can find the right opportunity to strike. The last thing you need to learn to develop your game sense is to learn the different strategies in your game. A strategy is an idea or concept within a game that guarantees you will win a majority of rounds. Simply put, if X happens, then do Y. One example of a strategy in Critical Ops and games similar to Critical Ops is the anti-eco strategy, meaning if one team wins the first round, then the team that won will buy cheaper SMGs instead of the expensive assault rifles. The team that lost will have to either force buy an SMG or not buy anything at all, which is called an eco round. The purpose of an anti-eco round is to get ahead in the game's economy, so the winning team can buy better weapons faster than the losing team. Now, not all anti-eco rounds are perfect. You will have that one player that just clutches with a pistol and gets a win for their team. It happens. Now, some strategies will involve the timing of you and another player's ability cooldown. So if you know that a player just used their ultimate and know how long it takes for it to be used again, then you can time your ultimate to counter their team push. Now, knowing the different strategies for your game is great, but it is even better when you and your team work together around the same strategy. Relaying information to your teammates is crucial, especially when it can make or break a match. And the best way to find strategies is to either look up pro players for the game that you are playing and watch what they do, or use the skills that you have learned by playing the game and experiment with different ideas. And if those ideas don't work, then it was a stupid idea and you need to try again. Regardless, by understanding the different strategies in your game, you can formulate the best plan of action to guarantee you and your team's victory, and even rank up in the process. Now, if you made it this far in the video, then there is one more piece of advice that I would like for you to know. Just watching this video is not going to make you a better player overnight. I want you to take 5 days out of every week and spend the next 30 days on these skills that I have laid out for you. Start from the beginning and make your way to the end, and by day 30, I guarantee you will be around an average or above average player. I'm not saying you're going to go pro. This is just a starting point. It is what you do from here that will get you to where you want to be. So now that you know the truth about game sense, it is now time to implement it into your gameplay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all learned something today. And if you made it this far in the video, then you might as well just hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to leave a like to show that you enjoyed this video. And if you're interested in any more content, then you can check out my socials linked in the description. Or you can check out the cards on the end screen to direct you to some more awesome videos. And as always, stay safe. Bye bye.